today. Unstoppable, unstoppable today. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to day one of the Magnet for Miracles Challenge. Say hello as you're hopping on. Hello, Sylvia. Hello, Corinne. So nice to see you here. I am so pumped up for this week and being able to share with you all the learning and just to kind of walk you through your own personal journeys. And so today we're here to talk about trusting your intuition and pushing past fear. Hi, Elizabeth, I see you. And so before we get into that, just a couple of housekeeping things. So the first thing that's really, really important as we go through this week together and as we go through this challenge is, first and foremost, I want you to be engaged. I want you to really participate and comment and let us know what you're learning, because the energy, you feed off of energy. And so the more you're engaged in this group, the more you're engaged in these live videos and in the accountability posts, the more energy we will feel, and it'll just put us in a higher vibration. So that's the first thing that I would ask of you. The second that's really important is you need to follow along in your workbook. And so if you haven't received your workbook, just let me know in the comments below. The workbook is going to be your guide for the week. It's going to help you really just kind of dig deep and reflect. And so I ask that as you're doing this, you be open. You be open to kind of accepting some things that might be hard to hear, or maybe things that you haven't thought of before. And then above all that, we're going to have some fun. This is going to be fun. There's going to be a giveaway for your participation. So let's just make this a really, really impactful experience for all of you. And lastly, if you want to know who I am, I encourage you to hop over into my introductions. I did an introduction video that's in the announcement specifically for this challenge. And then there's also an introduction video about who I am and my experience and what I do in the actual group. All right, so let's get to this. Are we ready? Are we ready? Drop it in the comments below, and here we go. So the first thing, that I think is really important to kind of talk about is intuition. You know that gut feeling that you sometimes have in your heart, or it's tugging at you, it's telling you to do something, and it's that initial response. But then what happens? We ignore it. We absolutely ignore it. And so what I say to you is that the hardest thing in the world is to learn how to trust ourselves and how to trust our intuition. I'm going to say that again because it's so powerful. We have a hard time trusting ourselves and our intuition, and that's not the way it should be. You are a powerful person, and you know yourself the best. And, I'm completely guilty of this. I've been guilty of this. I will ask anyone and everyone in the past, I would ask anyone and everyone for help when I had a big decision to make, instead of listening to the most important person in my life, which was me. And as soon as I stopped doing that, as soon as I started to listen to the voice inside me, not the voice inside my head, and we'll talk about that, but the voice inside my heart, as soon as I started paying attention to that and giving myself the importance that I deserved, my world changed around me. And so what I would say is that most of the time, when we're asking outside of ourselves for information, or to be guided, outside of ourselves. And we're ignoring the intuition that is internal inside of us. The problem in that is just we don't know how to trust it. We don't know how to trust it. And there's a quote by Erica Jong that really, really resonates with this. She says, advice is what we ask for when we already know the answer and we wish we didn't. How powerful is that? And so we need to stop doing that. We need to start trusting ourselves and trusting our intuition. And so oftentimes, individuals will ask me, well, how do we know if it's intuition or if it's just my mind talking me into it? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference. So intuition or intuitive hits, right? They hit you in the gut. They're your initial reaction, your initial response, the initial emotion that gets you excited. So what is that? Intuitive hits, number one, you get the goosebumps. Your whole body is telling you the answer. Your whole body is telling you, yes, this is what you need to do. So you need to trust those bumps. That's important. The second thing regarding knowing that this is an intuitive hit is that you feel it in your heart. You know that feeling that's that warm and bubbly feeling that you get inside of your heart and in your chest, and then it just expands when you talk about it. You have a certain passion, you have a certain energy. Don't ignore that. That's your intuitive hit. The third thing is when you first saw the answer, when it first came into your being, you didn't deny the information. It was like a resounding yes, this is what I need to do. It was only after a moment or two when you started to second guess, you started to doubt, that then you started to have reservations. But you need to pay attention to that initial response when you get an idea, when something pops into your head, when your creative juices are flowing. You need to pay attention to that. You have to trust that initial fluidity because that's where the answer lies. It's in that initial fluidity. Not once you start hitting, nope, this is the reason why it won't work, X, Y, Z, no. Trust the initial response. Because if you don't do that, then you're just going to allow second guessing to take over. So conversely, what's the difference between an intuitive hit and your mind just talking you into it? Well, when your mind is talking you into something, it really is the opposite of everything that I said. So your brain will feel tired after asking question after question. Your brain will feel foggy. There's repetition inside your head. It's like you're really trying to convince yourself, but you're not excited about it. It's just kind of this lull. It doesn't give you that passion, that fire. And on top of that, you feel like you're telling yourself a lie. So if your mind is talking you into something, it feels like a lie. It doesn't feel like the truth for you. It doesn't sit right within your being. If you've had those experiences, drop a resounding yes below. If there was ever a time when something didn't sit right, then that is your mind trying to talk you into something, not an intuitive hit. It's an important difference. It's very, very important. And then finally, when it's not intuition and it's your mind trying to talk you into something, you feel like you're beating your head against the wall. You feel like you're just going over and over things and you're really just not getting anywhere. You're asking everyone for their opinion. Yes, Elizabeth, right? So frustrating. It's frustrating because that's not your intuition. It's your mind trying to talk you into something. So of course it's going to be frustrating. And so what you have to ask yourself in order to determine, is this an intuition? Is this an intuitive hit? Is you need to ask yourself, where do I feel it? Where do I initially feel this? Do I feel it in my head, which is my ego? Or do I feel it within my heart? Your heart is your intuition. Yeah, so Corinne, it's so hard because I would say to you, the reason why we don't trust our intuition as we get older, and you're right, it shouldn't be that way, but it's because you're operating from your core beliefs, which are based on all of your experiences that you've had. And so your mind keeps trying to get you back to your comfort zone. That's where you're comfortable, is in doing what you're doing, day in and day out. But staying comfortable is not going to push you to your full human potential. It's not. And each and every one of you deserve to push yourself to your full human potential. 100%. And so it's really, really important to trust your intuition. So let's head over to fear, right? Because fear is what holds us back. It's what holds us back from really trusting our intuitive hit, trusting our heart. Fear resonates within the mind. It's all of our previous ways of thinking that's based on our previous experiences, or maybe something that somebody said, or something that somebody did, that's holding us back from trusting ourselves. And so most people are reluctant to step out and to act on a big idea. That's the norm. And it's because of fear of what you will lose. You have a fear of losing something. But if you really stopped and think about it, I guarantee that if you looked at it, you would realize that the worst that can happen is usually not all that bad compared to not following your decision, not following your dream, and not following your intuition. The consequence of not following through on your intuition is worse than that fear that you have of losing something. Good morning, Claudia. I guarantee you, hands down. And so let me just say this. So my journey, from being a social worker in the field to becoming an entrepreneur to now jumping in to this exciting venture that I'm doing as a mindset success coach, it's not been an easy one. Absolutely not. It's not easy. 1 minute, I was excited, I was passionate, I was like, yes, this is what I need to do. And then in the very next minute, I was throwing up or wanting to throw up. I came on to this live video today, and I don't think I have ever been as nervous. But I pushed past it. And you know why? I pushed past it because this is my intuition. This is my burning desire. This is my reason why. This is my passion. This is all of those things. And you too can achieve that. You've probably experienced something similar when pursuing your own goals and your own dreams. You're reluctant to step out because of that fear of what you may lose. Thank you, Claudia. But I say to you, I implore you, you can't let that fear control you. This internal battle that we have, this internal battle within our mind, right? And so the difference that I would say is we have a conscious mind, which is our thinking mind. This is our thinking mind. And our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. 100% Claudia, nothing grows in your comfort zone. 100%. And so the difference, it's really important that you understand what the difference is between our conscious mind or our thinking mind and our subconscious mind and our emotional mind. Because our emotional mind is based on our core beliefs or on our paradigms or schemas. These are things that have shaped who we are, have shaped our behaviors, which in turn has shaped our habits, the way we approach things, the way we approach how we see ourselves, how we see our relationships, and how we see the world around us. And so our conscious mind, hi Michelle, our conscious mind feeds our subconscious mind all of these automatic thoughts. And these automatic thoughts are based in our learned experiences, but it's not necessarily based on facts. It's based on our perceptions of how we perceived those experiences. And so we have this old way of thinking that is keeping us in the same place where we're not moving forward. You know, oftentimes there's individuals, entrepreneurs that will say, you know, we're doing everything that we need to do. We're following everything by the book. We're doing our follow-ups. You know, we're being consistent, but we're not moving. We're stagnant. You know, sure, we do well, but we're not achieving that success that we want to achieve. This here is the reason why. It's because you're not challenging your old ways of thinking. And so you continue to behave in ways that is based on your old ways of thinking. And these perceptions that we have, they feed into our fear. They cultivate our indecision. They cultivate our doubts. So fear really is nothing more than a state of mind. And we can control it. We can control what direction we want our state of mind to take. And so let's go back to this whole notion of intuition. So, you know, when we are faced with these intuitive hits, our mind goes into overdrive, right? It's trying to convince you why it won't work. It's trying to convince you to stay the way, you know, the way you are, to continue to do the things that you are doing. It's really uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable feeling because your paradigm, your core beliefs wants you to stay in the comfort zone. That's what Claudia was talking about. Right? Nothing ever grows when you stay comfortable. But your conscious mind doesn't want you to go into this uncharted territory. And so it starts to feed your emotional mind all of these doubts and all of these fears. Whether you are intentional about it or not, we have automatic thoughts going into our head every moment of every day. And we may not even know it. And these automatic thoughts then impact our emotions, our mood, and our behaviors. So we need to get intentional. We need to get intentional. And so this is what happens. This is what happens when we try to impress a new idea on the subconscious mind. We immediately go into, well, how are we going to do it? How are we going to accomplish this? But we're only basing that on what we currently know. We're basing it on our current paradigm, our current beliefs. And so then we end up convincing ourselves not to do it because it's based on the way we are currently thinking. We're not allowing ourselves to be open, to trust our intuition, and to push past this fear. And so we just continue to limit ourselves into what we already know. It's important that you hear that we have control. So stop limiting yourself. Stop today. No more. No more limiting yourself based on your old ways of doing things. And so what I'm going to say is that the next time you want to act on a big idea, maybe you currently have one. Maybe you currently have a decision that you're struggling with. I'm going to say to you, I'm going to challenge you that instead of trying to figure out the how, instead of going into that right away, trying to figure out the how, I want you to sit and do these 3 things. I want you to recognize, number 1, recognize that you have simply introduced a new idea that doesn't yet mix with the old idea of yourself. It's the first thing. It's very impactful. You need to recognize that. The second thing is, rather than letting the old idea or the old core belief or paradigm win or keep you stuck, I want you to keep impressing the new idea into your subconscious mind with gratitude and with faith. Keep challenging it, keep impressing it in your mind. Don't allow the old way of thinking to take over. And then thirdly, the third thing is that I want you to keep pushing into this unknown territory that you have fallen in love with. It's important to you, not to anybody else. It's important to you. And so those are the 3 practices that I would challenge you to try and do. Because fear and growth go hand in hand. You cannot grow unless you're fearful, because that fear is telling you that you are heading on the right path. That excitement, that feeling of uncomfortableness, but still feeling that emotional connection is telling you that you are on the right path. 100% yes, Claudia. Absolutely. And so if you are ready today, if you're ready today to take that step forward, to trust your intuition and to push past your fear, I want to see fearless in the comments below. Drop that in right now. Fearless, my friends, because you're worth it. And tomorrow, we're going to explore and expand on this whole notion of how to impress this on your mind and on your conscious and subconscious. Yes, look at the fearless coming in. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Go and make a wonderful day.